Hey everybody, Jeremy here, and as some of you probably know by now, I recently became a new father. At the beginning of December, my wife gave birth to a beautiful little baby girl, and I was in the room, I saw everything, and I also wanted to capture some images, some of the first images of my daughter's life, and that's what I did. And I've been wanting to print them out, and I've been really into metal prints. I've gotten metal prints before from like Adorama pics, because I just really love to capture an image and to have it printed on a solid piece of metal. I think that's so cool, as opposed to, just the regular paper prints that we usually have always gotten for years. I think metal is a very great way to go. Only thing is, getting metal prints is, well, it's a lot more expensive than usual. So I've been wanting to take the very first image, one of the very first images that I captured of my daughter after she was all cleaned up and everything, and get it printed on metal. And I looked at Adorama Pics and MPix and Illuminize, all these sites, all the little traditional sites that we usually always go to. And the prices on those sites, if you want like an 8x10 or 11x14, you're going to be spending around $30 for that. And yeah, they do have sales, but after everything is all said and done, it's going to be somewhere around that mark. But I also decided to look at Walgreens because why not? And then I just found out that Walgreens also does metal prints. And I was real skeptical because I didn't know how exactly they were going to do this. Were they going to print it out on paper and just glue it onto a sheet of metal, kind of like how they do with wooden prints? I didn't know, but I do know that they do same day pickup if you do 11x14 metal prints. Now those are like $40, but today, December the 21st, I had a great deal that got same day pickup for 11x14 prints for $15. And I'm like, dude, for that price, take the chance. Let's just see how it's going to come out. And that's exactly what I did. And that's what this video about. Just let you know, like, how does that turn out? Well, here is the image right here. Well, here's the print right here. And I'm going to put up an actual image of the original raw image as well. But this is how this looks. This is the 11x14 that I got printed out. And first thing that I can tell you about this particular print is, no, they do not print it out on regular like glossy paper and then put it on a sheet of aluminum. No, this is actually printed onto the actual aluminum slab, and that's great. Now compare this to something like Adorama, which is the only one that I worked with. I can tell you that this sheet of metal is a lot lighter than the ones at Adorama. Adorama tends to be thicker, it's heavier, it feels like it's higher quality, as it's expected it should be. And this one definitely just feels very, very thin. It is a very thin piece of metal, but it does come with a floating wall mount. So it's just a little wooden block that you kind of just tape on the back of this, and then you basically just put a little nail in your wall and hang it on that way. So it does come with that, and that's pretty good. But let's just talk about how this actually came out and the quality of this. And honestly, I think that it came out pretty good. Now, this image here, when I shot it, it was quite warm. I think that the way that it was printed out, in the right light, it looks warmer than what the image actually is. But I think that it came out looking pretty good. And you can tell that it's not just printed on a piece of paper, because it does have it does change according to the light. I'm not too sure if you can see that or not, but it does shimmer and shine, and you get different sort of like different temperatures depending on the direction that you turn this light. And it definitely does stand out when you want to put this on the wall. I think that the actual quality is pretty good, considering I know a lot of people were really concerned about whether Walgreens would completely screw it up. And I think they did a fairly good job, especially for $15. Now, one thing that I'm noticing some scratches. If you look on the back, besides all the fingerprints, I see like little scratches going horizontally like this way. And I can also see some scratches right here on the print. If I kind of like hold it kind of like this, I can see that there is a scratch like right there. And yeah, and I can also see like little other scratches, on it too. They're not very noticeable when you look at it dead on. You're going to have to get it in the right light and then be like, oh, there it is. But if it's just sitting up there on the wall, it's not something that people are going to notice. Now, is this something that I would say, well, you should just go to Adorama, you just go to Walgreens, forget about Adorama, forget about Impix, forget about Illuminize, something like that? Well, no, because they do, or at least Adorama does, have a higher quality overall product than what Walgreens can give you. You know, I can just feel around the corners of this, and and it doesn't feel as smooth as the one I got from Adorama. This feels more jagged. It doesn't hurt. It's not going to cut you, but it definitely feels kind of like it was on a cookie sheet and you had a big blade that just went bam, and it was a mostly clean cut, but not as clean as you would get from a more professional type of a photo lab. And like I said, this is a thinner piece of aluminum as opposed to what you can get from Adorama, which is thicker, which is heavier, which feels more robust. And I don't recall there being scratches on that image either. But as far as the way this came out, the sharpness looks good. It looks the way that I had edited it for the most part. I didn't brighten up the image or anything for printing. It's probably not a bad idea to do that anyway, with not just with metal prints, but with regular prints in general. But, I just edited this the way that I edit all the other pictures that I ever done in my entire life. And I just had my histogram spread out evenly. And, and I think that this came out pretty good. I like the fact that, it's warmer. It was a warmer type of occasion. It's baby and mommy. She's laying on her mom for the first time. And I like it, especially for $15. Feels a little bit flimsy. Feels like you can kind of bend it. Well, actually, I know that you can bend it, so you got to be a little bit careful. But, $15 for this, I'd say that it's pretty good. Now, would I say that it will be good for $40? No, I would not say. I would say if you're going to spend $40, you might as well just go to Adorama or Impix or wherever and just wait the time that it would take for them to ship it to you. This is the convenience of being able to get it on day one. And you're going to have to sacrifice some stuff if you want that kind of convenience. So no, it's not worth $40, but is it worth $15? Absolutely. Especially for gifts, especially if you're going to be giving them to mom or aunts or uncles or brothers or sisters, people who aren't quite photography snobs, like so many other people, which is understandable. You put a lot of effort and money into photography, so of course you're going to be a little bit more snooty about it. It's completely understandable. But you giving these away for gifts, those people are not going to notice. They're not going to be like, I'm not sure your darks are dark enough. They're not going to say that. They're not going to care. They're just going to think, oh, that's so cool. It's not on paper. It's on metal. They do that. What a world that we live in. And it's cool that, a place like Walgreens can offer that up to you. So that's what I think about these metal prints. They call them metal panels. But, if you can find a sale on them, or even if you just want to spend $20 on them and just, wait a couple days for them to get it to you, it could still even be worth it then. But like I said, $40, But $20, $15, get it on sale? Absolutely. I think it's perfectly fine, especially for gifts. Might not be good for the most awesome photographer in the world. Might not be as good as that person would like, but definitely for gifts. And they do this, I think it's like over 6,500 locations where Walgreens can get you these 11 by 14 prints the same exact day, probably within a couple hours. So yeah, that's what I feel about these. So yeah, check that out if you want, especially if you're looking for a different way to showcase photographs that you take and you kind of want to turn people's heads when you give them some photos, especially if you're a new parent like me. So thank you all so much for watching this, and be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more videos. So until then, I'm Jeremy, and I'll talk to you later.